This is Desert Homestead Prepping. Make sure to like and subscribe and hit that bell for notifications. Thought I'd share with you guys how we constructed our root cellar. We've had quite a few different options that we went over on what was going to be right for us as far as a root cellar. Seen a couple different people who have tried to go about making a root cellar for their homestead, and seen how they've had some problems. We watch Simple Living Alaska with Eric and Ariel. Saw them go through the heartbreaking struggle of backfilling their root cellar. It's a shame when somebody goes through so much trouble to construct something like this for their homestead and it doesn't work out. And then of course we've also watched Off Grid with Doug and Stacy and seen some of the challenges that they've had with their root cellar, and it looks like they got theirs all worked out, which is good. But we are in a very different climate. We are out in the deserts of the Midwest, and it's very challenging for us. And we went over a few ideas and decided the best idea was to use this box off of this box truck. It is in pretty good shape as far as the box. The truck, not so good, but we're very happy with what we'd found. The whole box is aluminum except for the deck, which is steel and heavy duty timbers. So we went about getting it all cleaned out and removing all the old wood that was inside it. And of course, you can't just put this box in the ground. You got to reinforce it. And we saw many people struggling with root cellars that they just had put in the ground, where they dug a hole with flooding, and you know, that causes all kinds of problems. You can't just dig a hole in the ground. So we decided to put it in the side of a hill, and it has worked out well for us. So yeah, I had to reinforce this, had to reinforce the ceiling really good, and put some timbers on the top, reinforced it with plywood, and then of course put some heavy duty treated 4x6 lumber that ribs the whole outside of it, probably about 16 inches apart, anchored to the side with 3/4 inch bolts and anchored to the deck. And then we constructed an outside wall for the door, and used this metal door that I was able to salvage from work. Sealed this up really good to make sure that we kept out all the vermin and pests, and insulated it for weather. And then we dug the hole in the side of the hill, and then went about cutting the supports and winching it onto the trailer.
MacGyver stuff.
I know, huh?
Hey, if you can't be a MacGyver, how do you survive? Sure.
Now this box was really heavy after we had constructed it. We did all this in the driveway at our house, and this is a 4-ton winch, and it was maxed out. Then after that, we transported it out to the property. And then came the really challenging part, which was dragging it off the trailer. So I anchored it to the box with these heavy-duty chains and hooked them to the truck at the top of the hill, and then went about trying to gently pull the trailer out from underneath it, which didn't really turn out to be too gentle at all. Yeah, for us, we've been we've been striving to prepare a homestead. It's not an active homestead yet, but trying to get all the resources in order. The main key to having a homestead and also having emergency preparations is food storage. So a root cellar was key. So we decided that this was going to be the most cost-effective way for us to get a root cellar. We looked at different options that were just really expensive, pouring concrete, maybe even using cinder blocks, and no matter which way we went, it was going to be really expensive. So we went with the box truck, and it turned out to be fairly inexpensive, at least for our budget. Got the box truck for about $950, but then for the equipment to dig the hole and for the timber, it was probably about $2,000. So as I'm pulling this off the trailer, I was pretty concerned that it was going to drag the wood off with it underneath it, but I just figured whatever challenges came along, we'd deal with them as they presented themselves. We found that it's very challenging for us to find information about how to construct a root cellar, or really how to construct most anything that we're working on out at the property. We don't live in climate conditions, you know, like Tennessee, and don't have plenty of wildlife and foraging opportunities like they might have in Alaska. But there are a lot of resources out here, and it's a really nice place for us to get away from society as we watch society unravel around us. And so, by the grace of God, I was able to drag the trailer out from underneath it, and it worked out pretty good because I got all the wood out, and that last piece just flipped out perfectly right in front of it. So we were very happy about that. So after I get it in the hole, I went about sealing it up real good with some siding, and used silicone to seal up every last little nook and cranny, and then painted the whole thing for extra protection against the weather, and put in some ventilation for any moisture. And then we went about burying the thing and mounded the dirt up around it. It worked out really well. It holds a steady temperature of about 70 degrees in the summer when it's 100 degrees outside, and it doesn't get any colder than about 35 degrees in the winter. The final step was that I surrounded the outside exposed area with cinder blocks and foam. It doesn't support anything, but it just gives it more insulation against the elements. And after all that, I was able to turn around and sell the truck for $900. So I actually got the box for $50. So we've had it in the ground for about 2.5 years. We have all of our canned goods and dried goods all stored in there, and everything works out really well. Have the door super tight so that no mice or anything can get in there. And it has worked out really well for us. So hopefully this is helpful for you guys to give you some ideas of how you might go about a root cellar. Thanks.